Okay, I'm going to tell you about the time I had a biker gang after me. And not only that, I had a biker gang after me with instructions to kill me. I'm not making this up. I'm not making this up. It's a great story. It's a great story. It has a happy ending. No biker gang came and killed me, but so here it is. A good friend of mine, Russ von Holscher, the guy that made me a millionaire and made my wife and I both millionaires, he had a joint venture partner that I cannot tell you what his name is. The only thing I can say is he's been dead now for a few years. And I invited him to come to one of my early seminars. This is back in 1994. We had hundreds and hundreds of people there. Now, prior to this gentleman was having all kinds of some serious problems with his business and some serious legal problems and that kind of thing. I invited him to come to this seminar of mine in 1994. There was like 500 or 600 people there. He was one of the featured speakers, and it was a turning point for his life. Now, little did I know. I didn't know that until later. I mean, just having him at that seminar was a major, for me it was no big deal. He was just one of a couple dozen speakers that we had, or at least 15 speakers that we had. So for me it was no big deal. For him, it was an absolute life-changing thing for him because it helped get him out of this funk that he had been in. Prior to that, he had all these legal business problems and stuff like that. So that was like 1994. All of a sudden, within a few years from then, this guy all of a sudden became my enemy. He sued me for some little tiny thing that was just ridiculous. Aren't most lawsuits? But it was some frivolous, ridiculous lawsuit that he sued me, and I was part of a whole group of other people that he sued, but I was part of that lawsuit. And all of a sudden, I made an enemy. I made an enemy, and this few years, in my perspective, a few years prior to that, I had invited him to come speak at my seminar. I thought we were on best of terms. I took him and his wife to the airport after they spoke at that seminar, gave them both big hugs. I thought we were on great terms, but I was busy. And I don't do a good job of staying in touch with people. And I got carried away with my business. He got carried away with his business, or so I thought. Now it turns out, and here's the whole punchline of the story. It turns out that he was deeply, deeply, deeply offended because he knew I had other seminars after that. And I never invited him to come speak at those seminars. But the truth is, I just forgot about it. I forgot. And that's just the absolute truth. I mean, he wasn't staying in touch with me, and I wasn't staying in touch with him. He was a direct competitor of mine, which is no big deal. I was still getting his mailing list. He was getting mine until the lawsuit happened. But he goes and sues me about 3 years after I invited him to the seminar, and it turns out, I'm giving you the very short version, but it turns out that he was deeply, deeply, deeply offended because I never had him come back and speak at any of these other seminars or whatever, and he took it very personal. Whereas the truth is, I just forgot to do it. So, but then of course when he sued me after that, I wasn't about to have him come and speak at any of my seminars. And you know, then I did have issues with him, you know, after I was included in on some lawsuit, some frivolous lawsuit that he had, which by the way, when it did go to court, the judge threw it out in a minute. It was just nonsense. It was just some nonsense deal. But you never know. Here's the point. I did a previous video. I'm looking for good lighting here. I'm trying to find some good light. I did a previous video where I mentioned this quote by this billionaire, this famous billionaire, who said, "Every person I meet has a gun pointed to my head, but my finger is on the trigger." And when I think of this, oh, by the way, so years later, the biker gang. So my friend Russ stays in touch with this guy. And Russ is a good friend of mine, but he stayed in touch with him. And this man, this is now 10 years after the lawsuit. So this is like now 2007. He is so hateful, so angry, so resentful of me that he told Russ, and Russ just reminded me of it on a phone call we just had because I forgot about the whole thing. he told Russ that he knew some bikers in his area. By that time, he was living in Florida. And he knew some bikers. God only knows where this dude was hanging out, because I don't know any bikers. Maybe I'm just not hanging out in the right places. He knew a group of bikers, and he was going to talk to them about coming to Kansas from Florida, and he was going to have me killed by a group of bikers. And Russ just said, he said, Bill, don't talk about that nonsense. He just said, that's just nonsense. He said, don't, Russ just knew he was just talking crap. Thank God he was. Usually the people that are going to kill you don't tell you that they're going to kill you in advance. They just quietly sneak up on you and do it. But look, every person I meet has a gun to my head, but my finger's on the trigger. I had no idea that I had offended this guy deeply by not inviting him. He knew I was having other seminars because, of course, he's a competitor of mine, and so we share some of the same customers. But also because Russ was coming to every one of my seminars, and yet I wasn't inviting Bill to come to my seminar. And Bill was deeply offended. He took it personal. But that whole time, those 3 years before the lawsuit, he could have been staying in touch with me. The fact that I wasn't staying in touch with him, he thought that was some kind of something that it was. I was just so obsessed with my business, and I don't do a good job. Hell, I don't even do a good job staying in touch with my own mother, let alone some joint venture guy. So I don't know. I hope something. I thought it was kind of a cool title for a video. The time a gang of bikers were going to kill me, But look, be very careful about people. You never know. You never know when you're making a friend or when you're making an enemy. I was just trying to give this guy a good warm welcome when he came down to speak at my seminar in 1994. I wasn't pretending. I really enjoyed meeting him and his wife. I had a good time with them. We had a lot of fun together. I drove him to the airport myself. I gave him a big old hug at the end. I meant to stay in touch with them, and I think probably we both probably promised that we were going to stay in touch and stuff like that. We just never did. But you never know when you're making an enemy. You never know. And then in 97, when this guy sued me in a real frivolous kind of way, I probably could have just reached out to him at that time and apologized, and I could have probably invited him to come to one of my more recent seminars, and I could have probably tried to rekindle the whole thing a little bit. Instead, 10 years later, he's so resentful, so angry, so resentful, that he was going to have because he said I stole. I used the word money machine in one of my promotions. I sell business opportunities. This is 2007 now. I used the word money machine, and he claims I stole it from him. Just crazy, stupid kinds of things. Since then, it's a joke now, because since then I've seen that word money machine in a lot of places. But that's why he was going to kill me in 2007. He was going to have this gang of outlaw motorcycle bikers that were going to come to Kansas. I could just see it. I'm a Sons of Anarchy. I've watched all those episodes. I could just see some of those mean, tough-ass bikers, coming to kill little old me. Because I used the word money machine in one of my sales letters or for the name of one of my products. Oh, it's crazy. Be careful about people. Be very, very, very careful. You never know. We're dealing in a world of people who are tremendously irrational at times, myself included. I don't want to even begin to tell you all the irrational stuff I've done, because then you probably wouldn't watch any more of my videos. But thank you for watching this video. Hope you got something out of it. I'm always looking for good joint venture partners. I don't do a good job of staying in touch. So if we do become joint venture partners, I need you to stay in touch with me. And it's like I'm going to do my best to stay in touch with you. But we'll make a lot of money together potentially. And if you have current joint venture partners, go easy on them. Remember, you never know. You never know. People do some very irrational things, but I'm thankful that this guy, it was just some crazy talk on his part about getting a gang of motorcycle bikers to come and kill me. But I hope you'll remember this video. Be very careful about the people that you meet. Hey, reach out to me. HeyTJ.com, HeyTJ.com, or send me an email at support@HeyTJ.com. Bye for now. Thanks.